There are new developments in the massive Medicare fraud investigation the CBS News Texas I-team has been tracking for months. What started with suspicious charges on seniors' Medicare statements then led us to a very small office in Austin. We've learned it's now linked to a multi-billion-dollar international fraud scheme. And this man named in the case was just brought back to the United States after being captured overseas. Investigative reporter Brian New tonight to explain.
When we walked into this North Austin office 6 months ago,
hi, how are you?
We saw the alleged operation up close. Boxes packed with medical and insurance records, and 2 employees who told us they knew nothing about what was going on.
Oh, wow.
So this is all news to you?
Yes, I did not know.
Listed as a medical supply company, prosecutors say Centurion Medical was actually a shell created for the sole purpose of defrauding insurers. The first person tied to this alleged operation was Nika Machudazi, but we now know he wasn't working alone.
Over the weekend, we conducted the foreign transfer to custody of a defendant who is allegedly connected to another $3.7 billion in intended loss.
This week, the Department of Justice announced a nationwide healthcare fraud crackdown, charging more than 450 defendants, including this man, Ibrahim Hilmi. He was arrested in northern Cyprus, then flown to Miami to face federal fraud charges. Prosecutors say Hilmi and Machudazi were a part of the same criminal network. Court records show Machudazi briefly took control of a Florida company registered inside this South Florida office building. Then ownership shifted to Hilmi. Prosecutors say this back and forth was intentional, designed to hide who was really running the scheme. It's the same playbook we uncovered here in Texas. Investigators say the group would take over small medical supply companies, swap out names on the paperwork, then bill Medicare for urinary catheters that patients say they never ordered or received.
When I first got the notice from my husband from Medicare summary, it had the charges, and I said, "What the hell is this?"
Seniors told us they only discovered the fraud after opening their Medicare statements.
There were no doctors. We never went to any doctors for this. They just paid it out. Nobody checked.
In January, the FBI tracked Machudazi from his Austin apartment and arrested him before he could flee the country. Hilmi managed to flee the U.S., but he didn't get far.
100 years in prison. That was the sentence that was handed down earlier this morning to the man federal prosecutors say spearheaded an attack on an immigration detention center last July 4th. It was in Alvarado. He was one of 9 people convicted in that case, which some have said challenges First Amendment rights. Andrea Lucia was in court in Fort Worth today.
Yeah, our cameras weren't allowed inside the federal courthouse, but we were, and I can tell you that these sentencing hearings were at times emotional. Family, friends, in some cases even former teachers got up to testify about the character of those convicted. At least 2 of the defendants were also visibly crying. None of it, though, seemed to sway the judges. All of the sentences that were handed down today were lengthy ones. But the alleged ringleader here, Benjamin Song, he got the longest sentence, 100 years, and he took his time in court today to speak out.
What's the goal? Free the law! What's the goal? Free the law!
Amid protests outside the federal courthouse in Fort Worth, Benjamin Song stood inside telling a judge he wasn't motivated by hate.
I don't hate cops. I don't hate Trump.
His mother repeated his message for those who missed it.
But fear is not hate. Wanting people to live is not hate.
Song was convicted for the attempted murder of an Alvarado police lieutenant he shot in the neck last year during a protest over conditions at the Prairie Land Immigration Detention Center. Today, he said he acted in fear, only after the officer raised his gun at a fleeing unarmed protester. A federal jury, though, found Song and 7 others present at the protest provided material support to terrorists, in this case, Antifa. The defendants have denied being members of any organized group by that name. Judges today gave the defendants who were at Prairie Land sentences of at least 50 years. Their attorneys have vowed to appeal.
This wasn't about proving that there's an Antifa or that any of these people are in it. It was just, in my opinion, a dog whistle to give certain people in Washington, D.C. what they want to hear.
This isn't a bunch of terrorists. This is a bunch of kids and young adults who really have a really big heart and really wanted their voice to be heard.
And the two federal judges who split up today's hearings and handed down these sentences did offer some rationale for their decision. One of them said that terrorism and violence are an assault on democracy. We also received statements from several top Trump administration officials, including the acting director of ICE, the acting U.S. Attorney General, and the FBI Director, Kash Patel, who in his statement said, today's sentencings show the FBI remains committed to identifying, locating, and dismantling Antifa and its funding networks across the country. Supporters of these Prairie Land defendants, though, say the intent of it all, they believe, is to silence government critics. Reporting here in Fort Worth, Andrea Lucia, CBS News, Texas.
After the deaths of two inmates at the Tarrant County Jail last week, the family of an inmate who died is speaking out. Tonight, they say they want accountability for the death of their son, who passed away last Thursday, they tell us. They spoke to our Bo Evans today.
Leetta Hurd is asking for justice for her son, 46-year-old Mac Greer. Hurd spoke with us on the steps of the Tim Curry Criminal Justice Center in Fort Worth. She told me she's demanding answers from Sheriff Bill Wayborn and that her son was taken off life support on June 18th. All she says she's been told is that Greer was found unresponsive in a cell by himself at the Tarrant County Jail and transported to JPS Medical Center in Fort Worth on June 17th. That's where Hurd says her son was pronounced brain dead and was put on life support until his organs could be donated. Greer had been in the Tarrant County Jail since May 28th on theft of materials charges. Right now, his mother isn't satisfied with what she's been told by the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office.
We want to know why y'all took him from us. And if you didn't physically take him, you neglected him and let him be taken. Because y'all told me he was in a single cell, so you can't tell me an inmate did this. So just justice. We want justice.
We asked to speak with Sheriff Wayborn, but we haven't heard back at this time. The Sheriff's Office did tell us that prior to his death, Greer has a lengthy medical history that predates his time at the Tarrant County Jail, including a lifelong genetic disorder, and that a judge granted him a compassionate release to JPS. As for the other two deaths at the jail, the county said both suffered medical emergencies. Meanwhile, if you come by the Tarrant County Jail, you'll see Mac Greer's father walking around with a portrait of his son. He says he'll be doing it every day until he gets answers. In Fort Worth, Bo Evans, CBS News, Texas.
An investigation is underway for a deadly house fire in Fort Worth. A child is dead. 3 other children are hurt. It all happened in a house on McCart Avenue in South Fort Worth. Dawn White was able to speak to a good Samaritan who literally was driving by, stopped, and then risked his own life to save 2 of the children.
Charred rubble is all that remains of a house a family of 7 used to call home.
I'm really speechless.
Robin Allen was jolted out of her sleep just before 3 this morning.
I heard like a boom sound.
That sound came from this home along McCart Avenue.
I see lights flashing and I see smoke and I smell like something is burning.
Robin lives 2 doors down from the house that caught fire. She says the flames were so intense she could not see past this white truck.
I noticed there was a guy standing here. He was bloody, drenched with blood.
That good Samaritan is Leon Segura, who saw the flames as he drove by.
Had the windows down, heard some screaming, so I really quick just jumped out the truck and, just went over there to the front door, and I kicked down the front door and it was really hot. Couldn't get in at all. The flames were really super hot.
Leon saw a child in the front yard who said her siblings were still inside, so he ran to the back of the home.
I stopped hearing the crying and the screaming, so that automatically told me, hey, I have no choice.
He punched through the glass door and went inside.
As soon as I did that, The little girls were already on the floor.
He carried the two girls to safety, something he did without hesitation. As the father of two teenage girls,
I would definitely consider him a hero.
But Leon doesn't think of himself as a hero, even though he's left with cuts on his hands and arms and burns on his back.
What if it was one of my kids, I would want to have somebody, to, act immediately, It's the right thing to do.
I heard some of the guys that were here saying it's the most heroic story they've heard in their 27 years on this job.
Fort Worth Fire spokesperson Craig Trogic says the children in the home range from a kindergartner to a high school senior. Neighbors say the child who died is a 5-year-old boy.
It's a tough morning to wake up and to come to these scenes and to realize that there's a life that's no longer here.
2 of the children are in the burn unit. The cause of the fire is under investigation. In Fort Worth, Dawn White, CBS News, Texas.
This weekend marks 1 year since an awful vehicle pileup that killed 5 people in Kaufman County last year. And today, the truck driver who fell asleep at the wheel was sentenced to 20 years in prison as a result after he pled guilty before a Kaufman County judge. Afterward, relatives of the victims shared the overwhelming pain of losing their loved ones, including 3 generations of men in one family. Here's our J.D. Miles.
Alexis Osmani Gonzalez Campanione pleaded guilty to 5 counts of manslaughter and was given the maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for what happened along Interstate 20 1 year ago this week. The 18-wheeler Campanione was driving didn't stop when traffic backed up, and he plowed into vehicles, killing 4 members of the McKellar family from Fort Worth and Nicole Gregory of Dallas. The driver admitted to falling asleep behind the wheel.
Today, my family and I traveled the very highway that forever changed our lives.
After sentencing, relatives of the McKellars spoke of the sudden loss of 4 members of their family in an instant last summer.
Family reunions, holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, and future celebrations will never be the same without Chrissy, Zabar, and Kaysen.
They also offered forgiveness to the 27-year-old Cuban-born driver who will be deported once his sentence is served.
The joy of the Lord has been my strength, and I forgive you.
But one of the most powerful moments came when a recording was played from Evan McKellar, the 21-year-old who lost part of her leg but survived the crash that killed her parents, grandfather, and brother.
I lost my leg as a result of this incident, and I will have to live with that every day. I am not the same person that I was before.
The now college graduate plans to attend law school once she's physically recovered. The trucking company, which authorities say falsified the registration on the vehicle, also faces criminal charges as 2 families attempt to rebuild their lives from what appear to be serious failures by the driver and company to operate safely. In Kaufman County, J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
There is a new resolution I want to tell you about tonight between Plano and an 80-year-old widow over code enforcement issues that threatened some criminal charges at one point. But thankfully, both sides have come to terms, and our Marvin Hurst caught up with her and her newfound joy. It's a story that you'll only see right here on CBS Texas.
Rita Ray, who doesn't want us to use her last name, is finally in a seat of comfort.
There are things about the house I miss, but it was time to move on. It was time to get away from the harassment of the city.
Since June 2024, Plano tried to get her to comply with code enforcement complaints, even taking the woman to court.
And you have neighbors who are complaining, and there's concerns about rodents and overgrowth on a property, and there are other security issues that are involved. We have to get involved at some point.
A search warrant obtained by CBS News Texas shows investigators found leaking water on her bathroom floor and black growth on the interior surfaces within her bathroom, living room, and hallway. Structure problems outside of her home, from the roof to the garage, plus high grass. The city charged for cutting it down, but she couldn't pay for it or do the upgrades because her fixed income couldn't fix a thing.
Like on plumbing, $35,000 to $45,000, and I was having trouble getting help getting groceries. What do you expect me to do?
With the 80-year-old's permission, her medical support driver posted her plight on the Nextdoor app. Attorney Andy Trusevich took her case pro bono.
I do not believe a jury would have convicted Rita of any criminal charges.
And for free, he says he assembled a team for his client that took care of all of her needs in 6 weeks.
The team I put together was phenomenal, and that's why we were able to accomplish in less than 6 weeks what the entire city of Plano, with all their resources, couldn't do in over 2 years.
Rita Ray is now living at an active senior citizen property with brand new everything in Plano.
I had felt like I had looked into everything I knew to look into, and there just weren't answers out there.
The city dropped the case. She owes no fees for where she used to live for 54 years. She even sold her home.
Well, the sale of Rita's house may have been the turning point in this case, and she was able to move on to a brand new life. There are still other elderly people who cannot afford to live in the houses that they own.
So this is something that we see on a regular basis. We have all sorts of programs that we provide opportunities to people who are going through hard times to take advantage of. But we can't force them to take advantage of those programs.
As for Rita, the heart transplant survivor is turning 81 on Wednesday.
It was in 2012 when her husband passed away. Since then, she has not had anybody wish her a happy birthday.
She's having a birthday party to celebrate her new lease on life.
So it will be a special day.
In Plano, Marvin Hurst, CBS News Texas.
Our J.D. Miles introducing us tonight to a widow of an Air Force veteran who handed over $70,000 of her own money to a contractor to refinish a pool for her grandkids. Next thing you know, the money was gone. Her pool was a mess. And that's the moment that the hero stepped in.
Since her husband, Nick, a decorated Air Force pilot who served in Vietnam, died in 2011, Mary Beth Meyer has faced challenges in and around their North Texas home. That includes their nearly 60-year-old swimming pool.
And we had a problem with the pool leak. So I was looking for someone to renovate and repair. Made a bad decision.
Meyer says she hired an independent contractor who agreed to redo the pool for $35,000, which within weeks was raised to $70,000.
When I started checking the books of all the invoices and started adding up stuff, and no progress here in 3 months, and found out he was a bad guy and a convicted felon.
This is what the pool looked like when Meyer's son says the contractor stopped showing up a few months ago.
He did a terrible job. It was substandard. It wouldn't even probably pass inspection. It was just devastating.
Yeah, we're getting this last little bit set up.
When Ryan Wade Hoffman heard about what happened, he was at the Myers house the very next day.
When I saw this scenario and then got the backstory of it, there was just no way that I could walk away from it.
Hoffman, with Veterans Pool Company, offered to renovate the pool and surrounding area at no charge to the veteran's widow.
It's looking great. I mean, from what we were given.
Hoffman hopes to have the project finished in a few months and has acquired help from a dozen other companies that all believe it's a fitting tribute to the late veteran.
I had a spouse that was home alone a lot, and I would hate to have somebody taking advantage of her while I was gone.
What do you think of the Veterans Pool Company?
Well, they came to my rescue, Ryan Hoffman and a wonderful pool company. I just appreciate you so much and getting this done.
The 94-year-old, who's temporarily in a physical rehab facility, got to thank the pool company owner in person today and says she can't wait to come home and step into her backyard.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's going to be pretty soon, and I think it will be.
In Plano, J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
The CEO of Dallas's Resource Center, Cece Cox, is planning to retire. She's been an advocate for the LGBTQ+ community and helped expand resources tremendously over her career. Our Braceda Holguin sat down with her to reflect on the work that she has done.
I've been an advocate for about 40 years.
After more than 4 decades of influencing legal change and expanding resources for the LGBTQIA community in Dallas and beyond, Cece Cox is taking a step back. Come January of next year, she will retire from her role as CEO of Resource Center.
For me, I didn't grow up thinking, oh, I'm going to be CEO of the second largest community center in the United States for the queer community.
Cece was a photographer, commercial litigator, and lawyer, all before joining the center in 2007 as the associate executive director. She says it was the grassroots efforts at the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation that sparked her drive. Under her leadership, the center transformed into a vital hub.
Our youth program has grown so much. Programming for seniors was fairly minimal at that time. We've expanded that so much, and then added residential property that we built from the ground up called Oaklawn Place.
The senior housing facility opened in 2024, and it was a project that came with a lot of challenges, something fellow activist Robert Emery says reflects Cece's determination.
If one considers the obstacles she had to overcome, it's nothing short of Herculean.
Robert and Cece have known each other for 30 years.
Cece and I have had so many great times together, so many sweet memories, but I have to say, the greatest one was when we were both Grand Marshal of the 30th anniversary Gay Pride Parade in Dallas. At the end of the parade, there were protesters, and Cece and I decided the greatest thing we could do was go near the protesters and show our joy, show our comfort, our pride, our happiness.
The center has been searching for the right person to take over, and in just a few weeks, they will make that announcement. Until then, Cece has a bit of advice.
You really are not doing this job by yourself. You're really not. And the staff is amazing. We're in great financial shape. The board of directors is strong and amazing and invested in the work. So there's a whole community of moving us forward, and that's what I would like to see continue.
In Dallas, Briseida Holguin, CBS News, Texas.